This week on Jon Thelen's Destination Fish, we start on some last chance spring crappies, catching springtime slabs at the tail end of the spawns. Jon Thelen's Destination Fish is brought to you by Lindy Fishing Tackle and Alumacraft Boats. There he goes. Got him. First fish of the day. Cross your fingers. I'm gonna explain a little something to you here. This year, as everything has gotten so consolidated, and what I'm talking about is the late ice out has made it so that so many things are happening at once. It's the week before Memorial right now. And I was walleye fishing yesterday up on Red Lake. And I was thinking to myself, man, I'll tell you what, I wonder if I've missed some of these crappie bites this year, because here's what's happened. The water has warmed up so fast that I was worried that maybe I missed a couple of these crappie bites, because here's what happens. It's a touchy little deal. These fish start coming in the mid 50s and they bail out somewhere before the mid 60s. It's 62-degree water temp this morning. And that guy right there, he's a jet black male that's in here to spawn. But I'll tell you what, we're gonna talk about a few different things that are gonna help you with catching crappies in the spring today. We're gonna go through a couple tips and tricks that I use that day in and day out help me catch more fish. And one of them, to be honest with you, is timing it right. There he goes. Don't turn away. I turned and looked, just looking down at the other side of the lake to see if anybody else was around right down here. Doggone it, I look back, float's gone. One of the things you're gonna notice that I'm doing is I am moving a lot, okay? I'm moving a lot, I'm pitching, I'm flipping, I'm doing a lot of stuff here. And basically what that's about is this. When you look at, boy, that's a great crappie right there, look at that. When you look at the time of day I'm fishing, this is not prime time, and if there's one bite that I think really relies on being super at prime time, it's this shallow crappie, shallow bluegill bite, okay? During the day, these fish are just flat out not gonna eat as much. Now come evening, they'll turn on and go bonkers. It's just the way it works. And then you take a day where you've got a little bit of ripple on the water, and that can make it even harder. So one of the things I do is I try to realize that I might have a favorite spot, but when you're here during the day, what you find a lot of times is the fish are just not on. You might go to one of those favorite spots, throw a bobber out, sit there for an hour, never catch fish, and there might have been a whole bunch of crappies right there. But they're just not active and biting. So one of the things I'm constantly doing, I'm using the Minn Kota up front, I'm using the spot lock feature, and then I'm jogging. And what I'm doing with the jog is I'm moving 5 feet at a time, and I'm pitching over here, I'm pitching back here, I'm pitching over here. I'm just working the whole area, then I jog 10 feet. But right now, you've gotta be really precise. You've gotta work an area over and then move, work an area over and then move, because you're looking for that one fish that's willing to get active. When I fan cast these areas, another thing to watch what I'm doing here is I don't just cast out, leave it sit, and then decide there's nothing there. Reel in fast and cast again. What I always do is I work that bobber back toward me, okay? I'm pulling that jig up a little bit. It's just like pitching a jig for walleyes, but what I'm doing is I'm just working it back toward me, because between the boat and that spot I might have cast to, you might come across that biter that just needs to see a little bit of motion in that jig and minnow, and that can make a huge difference. It'll buy you a couple extra bites every single day by just keeping your line in the water just a little bit longer and covering that new water on your way in. Jon Thelen's Destination Fish is brought to you by these fine sponsors. You want to talk about lucky? I had so much slack out, I just moved to this little spot here. I just made that little move, and all of a sudden that bobber went down. I watched it go down, great crappie. And I was lucky enough to be able to see it when it happened, but I had a ton of slack out there. Look at that, great fish. That is really cool. I want to show you what I'm using, because this is, when it comes to pan fishing, crappie fishing, man, old standby. I mean, look at that. What a beautiful crop. I suppose 12 inches. Nice fish all day long. But I want to show you what I'm using, because you know what? Anybody can do what I'm doing today. And I want to show you exactly how easy it is. One of Lindy's longest running jigs is the little nipper. And the reason it's one of its longest running jigs is it flat out catches fish. You look at that little nipper right there. It's got feather hair on it, okay? It's got great colors, a stout little hook that's awesome for panfish. With this hanging horizontally in this little bit of waves, even if my minnow gives up on me, it's doing this, okay? So it's keeping it horizontal and making it look like it's swimming. Then it's a simple split shot. And then today I'm using the Thel crappie cork. And I'm gonna tell you why I chose crappie cork today. I did not know for sure how deep these fish were gonna be when I got here. Okay, so the neat thing about the Thel crappie cork is I can use it as a slip float, or it's got a spring on the bottom, so I can use it as a spring float. The other really cool thing about the crappie cork is every single one of them tells you how much weight it will suspend. So it's, I mean, just a great float, and they're available in a variety of sizes. But man, that's a simple setup that's been catching crappies and bluegills since I was a kid. I'll tell you, it really does everything you need. Get right back in there. Got him. Right back on the edge of that bulrush pile right there. You can see those sticking out of the water back behind me there. That's one of the neat things about the location we're fishing, is a lot of this can be looked upon as visual. You'll see it on your graph, but you're also gonna be able to see it with your eyes. Good crop. Come here, buddy. So let's talk about this a little bit. What we're doing is I am sitting right now in the shallows. Another great fish right there. We're talking 4 or 5 feet of water. When these fish come in at this time of the year, they're in here to get ready for the spawn or finish the spawn. You know, I mean, it's one of those deals where we're just picking fish off here and there, okay? So I think we're actually at the back end with the water temps creeping up. I mean, we're creeping up fast. I mean, we're up to almost 63, but that fish right there, he's just maneuvering around this stuff. But what you're looking for is areas with some structure. And what I mean is this: you're not gonna find rock piles in here that crappies are gonna relate to. You're not gonna find that kind of stuff. What you're gonna find is vegetation. So what we're doing, that's another great fish. What we're doing here is, for the most part, I'm fishing last year's bulrushes that are still standing up. And it's providing that structure for these fish to hang around in, feel safe, and yet it's the type of bottom that they can spawn in. Got one. Look at that. This fish bit it right when I started to move it a little bit. I'll tell you what I was gonna do there. A crappie just came to the surface behind the boat. Fed on something on the surface, so I was gonna reel in and flip back to where I saw him go. And this fish must have been staring at it. As soon as he saw it trying to get away from him, he jumped up and drilled it. Look at this. Another great fish. What a great, great short crappie trip. Holy smokes. We have just wrecked them here. And you know, the whole key is just taking some of these tips and going with them. Moving around a little bit. Keep moving, keep looking, keep flipping, keep fan casting around the boat, parking here, parking there. We've now gotten into a spot where there's numbers of them in there. There's no doubt in my mind, there's numbers of them back there. But man, just because walleye season's open on these late springs, don't overlook this. I'm the only guy in here doing this. How much fun is that right there? You just can't beat it. Jon Thelen's Destination Fish has been brought to you by these great sponsors.